All right. I think we're going to get started here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Steve Weck. I'm an account consultant for American Color Imaging, and I'm the moderator for today's webinar. And if you have questions for our presenters, we invite you to hit the chat button, little chat button there, and enter your question, and we'll address those questions as soon as we can. Our presenters today are Adam and Lori Carroll, owners of Harbour Light Photography, located in Auburn, Michigan. They are joined by Kim Werner, who is, among other things, their production manager. Adam, Lori, and Kim are going to share how they built and continue to grow their volume business that includes school portraits and team and individual sports photography. This has become a very significant portion of their business mix, and they're going to share how they did it, how they prepare for the season and for each project, talk about their workflow, and share little tricks and tips they use to help make their volume photography an efficient revenue stream for their studio. Adam, Lori, and Kim, thank you for sharing today.
You're welcome. We're excited to be here today. Can everybody hear us today?
Yes. How are we doing? Good?
Thumbs up.
All right. I see some familiar faces on there on the chat, so that's awesome.
All right. So
let's
get
start
started.
This. All right. So our welcome and intro here is our first day of school picture that Lori and I did last school season before first day of school. We wanted to look like teenagers that we photographed on day one. So I think we pulled that off pretty well.
I think we did. It's important to put that on social media. Do some fun things.
So here's all of our contact information, and as Steve mentioned, which unfortunately, it's a square box in the upper right corner. So Kim and Lori have to really lean in to be seen, which I'd rather have them to be seen instead of me. But I'm managing the mouse, clicking the slides. But this is our contact. Feel free to ever reach out to us at any time you ever have any questions about volume photography, for sure. So real quick, just a little brief history about our studio. We opened in 2006. And we bought our studio building. We have a brick and mortar studio. It's a beautiful little building in a small town of about 2,000 people. And we started off with just my son and myself. And we were doing predominantly portraits, high school seniors, weddings, families. We did a little bit of volume in the beginning. So what we wanted to share was this chart goes up to 2022. We need to update it, obviously, the last 3 years. But we wanted to share with you how volume has really changed our studio in a sense. If you look at the lines on your screen, so we broke it down in all of our portrait work and then all the volume work, which is the red, and then the green is our total revenue over the years starting in 2006. And we had a rapid increase in the first 3 years, and we were doing hundreds of seniors every year, tons of weddings, families. We were growing through the Great Recession there, which we counted our blessings all the time during that time because we were rapidly growing. And as you can see, our volume work was slowly growing along with everything else. However, we peaked with our portrait work, and that started to slowly decline as more people started doing seniors and so on. So what was nice is our volume work started to kept steadily increasing over time. And then 2015, you'll notice a big spike. And 10 years ago, we were asked by our local public school system where our kids go to school, we would like to have you, can you do our school pictures? We want to get rid of the big corporate giant. We want someone local. Can you do it? We were doing team sports up to that point. We had one small little 100-student Catholic school. And we went to school to figure out how to take on the big corporate giants and do school photography.
And that's one thing that I would always suggest. If somebody asks you to do it, say yes. And then ACI and Steve will help you figure it out. So always go in with a yes, I can do that. Walk out and go, oh my goodness. And I'm calling Steve.
So as you can see, in 2015, we had a big increase in our volume work because we added about 3,500 students, 5-6 schools, and then that kept going up while our portrait sales were actually still kind of decreasing. And then another great thing that happened was Lori left her corporate job of 30 years and joined the studio full time in 2019. And she's been able to bring our portrait sales back up and revenues and everything. So the blue line's been going back up. And then you can see in 2020, during the pandemic, we went up even more with schools and volumes. So this is kind of a really good analogy of what it's done for our business in growth and maintaining and having a staff of keeping Kim. And we always have a co-op student from a high school student that works part-time for us. That's all we have on staff, just the three of us and one high school student. And as we mentioned before, people say, how did you get started? That's simply, we were asked, can you take our school pictures? Sure. Let's figure it out.
Say yes. So how to acquire a school? We went with starting with sports. There's referrals. Ask for referrals and cold calling. We have a calendar appointment every year where we take a look at what schools are in the area, and we go and approach at least one new school a year if we feel we can fit them in. And no is not no, it's a not yet. So there are plenty of times we've went to a school and they're like, no, we're happy. And then they call us. So just keep that door open and don't take a no as a straight up no.
Oh, we also made a booklet up that you can order from ACI that it's just an overall booklet that shows all the different services we offer: school pictures, band pictures, sports pictures, and then you can give that to the administration and staff with a little marketing letter and a booklet, like a saddle stitch booklet that we can then print and only order what we need. That way we can keep it updated and refreshed on a yearly basis. So we're going to talk a lot about our systems, and that's the key for us anyway. Having success in the volume business is having systems and things are nailed down. Are they always evolving? You bet. So we're going to break it down into three portions: pre-picture day, which is predominantly Kim, who handles our pre-picture stuff, and then picture day, and then post-picture day, which is Kim again, for the most part.
Look at Kim. She's surrounded by computers and laptops.
So the three parts of pre-picture day: scheduling, data management, marketing. So Lori handles a lot of our scheduling.
Yeah, so I will start scheduling our schools at the end of the school year for the next year. So by the end of May, I have already scheduled all the schools. And it may seem bold to some, but I will email each school a date. But that date is based on what worked for them last year, what days they have gym class, different things. 99% are going to say those dates work great. And if they don't, then I have time in May to whether I need to call another school and see if they'll flip dates, or I will always keep just like 1 or 2 dates a month open that I have some wiggle room there. But you need to schedule early and have that done. You do not want to try and do this in August, because and I schedule picture day and makeup day. I know what time we're going in, where we're going. It's very helpful. We already know, and I'll let Kim talk about, after scheduling, what she needs to do. But you are in control. Do not let the schools run this for you. You are in the driver's seat.
Hey, Lori.
Yes, sir.
We have a question. How far from the initial shoot is retake day typically?
Usually approximately a month. So if I schedule in September a school, then in October is their makeup day. And we don't call it a retake day because we don't need to do retakes. And that's a mindset. So it's a makeup day, and that makeup day is for any kids who were not available that first day. Do we have some retakes? Absolutely, but we want to put it in their mind that there's no need for retakes.
So then the other thing is data management. And this is more on Kim.
Adam and I, it's like we're now moving.
I should have got a turntable. Hop in there, Kim.
Okay, so for data management, I use an Excel file, and then we create it as a CSV. And that is very important before we use Flow. So as long as everything's accurate on your Excel file, then we import it into Flow, and then usually everything comes out correctly. Sometimes I do have to adjust it, but I usually work with the schools to make sure we can get all the information that we need. And that's.
So one of the things for the schools, though, that there are some schools that have ISD students come in and they're not in the regular school rosters. So we have to make sure we have those students also, because that popped up on us a couple different schools. In the first year we did that, we had to type all of them in on site. We don't want to type in anything on site if we can avoid it. There's going to be a few, but we don't want to type in a lot. And also make sure every single person who needs to be photographed at that school must have a folder. So you want to make sure that you have, if there's pets, because we actually do photograph class pets. So we need to know what class pets are being photographed. We need to know what staff needs to be photographed, and we need to know all the students. Are there new nades? Like, don't forget about the new nades. Or are there people who come into the school to help that would need a badge? We ask them for all of that. And once you establish that the first year, Kim sends it to them the following year, and then they just adjust it from there.
So we used to use camera cards because that's what we were told in the very beginning 10 years ago. Yep, you got to have camera cards. And then this great thing happened during the pandemic. The school said, we don't want you to get close to the students. You need to stay back of your camera and stay 6 feet away from the kids. So we're like, okay, well, we're going to go to scanning books because we shoot a tethered workflow. We'll get into that a little bit later. So we went to scanning books, and we have, for an elementary, we'll have one entire class. Mrs. Smith's kindergarten class is on one page, and they come down alphabetical order, and it works great. So we're no longer handing them a camera card to hand it back to the photographer. And with a tethered workflow to laptops, it works out well for us. And since we did that during the pandemic, we said after that, boy, we're going to continue doing this. Mm-hmm. And we no longer do instant IDs now. We had to do that in the beginning. And that was another thing they wanted to do away with during the pandemic. And we also wanted double-sided IDs, and we get our double-sided IDs from ACI. We get them really quick. They're super fast with that. And it keeps things going on picture day a lot faster.
And the quality of the ACI cards, I think, are better than the ones that we can print on site ourselves. And Kim works with the schools as far as what they would like on that back, so that can kind of be customized. I know here in Michigan that we have, and Kim just talked to a school about this, there's some laws about what needs to be on the back of that card, suicide awareness and such. So, but we can customize it per school.
Yeah. So the key, though, the whole point of data management is data is king. Clean data from a school will help you immensely moving forward.
I would say, in mine and Kim's opinion and Adam's, pre and post are the most important times for school pictures and volume photography at all, whether it's sports or team sports. If we have clean data and we're prepared on that end, you all know how to photograph. So that is just natural to you. So it's the pre and the post that are most important.
Adam and Lori, we have a question.
Sure.
Do you produce a badge for staff members? And how quickly do you return those? Also, do you give a staff package to each staff member?
Do you want to take those, Kim? I'll let Kim talk for a minute.
We do provide the staff IDs. They are basically the same information as the students, only their portrait. Our students are usually landscape. And what was the other question?
Do we provide a package?
Oh, we used to.
Yeah, we do not supply this staff with packages anymore.
We used to find a lot of staff would tell us, please don't print this. I throw it in the trash every year. So we're like, okay, we're going to do away with that. And we actually provide door signs that have our logo on it and their staff picture on it, that 4x10 that they can put outside in the hallway when you walk into their building, into their room, and they love that. They'll put every year after. So that's one of our service items that we give them is a door sign that is used instead of a picture package that they knowingly throw away.
And we have for the school, somebody, I know one of the questions was how fast do we do badges? So we have a district day that our district has where all of the employees are supposed to come in and they have, like start out to the year, they have a speaker come in, they all come together. We go that morning and photograph as many people as we can. And then those will be ordered and they'll get those earlier than if they wait until they come to school. Because usually ACI, between Kim and ACI, I'd say it's like a week.
About a week for IDs.
For IDs. And then we'll go deliver them. Once they come in, we go back to the school and deliver them for them.
As far as marketing here, we don't make any flyers. We don't use any coin envelopes, anything. We do everything electronically now with our schools. And it saves us a ton of money. We're not spending money on order forms and everything. We do everything post, and we'll go over that in a little bit as well. So,
and the teachers love that, and
yes.
So do the coaches, because they're not having to hand out
and collect
and keep track of. And the great thing is people get to view their images before they order, and we feel as though that has increased sales. So somebody may say, yeah, but now you have to pay credit card fees. But our sales have increased because, I'm just going to get the smallest package because I don't know what Johnny's going to look like by the time he has his picture taken. Now they can see and they buy more.
So getting into our systems as far as picture day, real quick, when it comes to picture day, we've been using the same setup and cameras for the last 10 years. We have bought new laptops. So you want repeatable, repeatable setup, which, really helps with your results. And Lori's going to talk more about how we also do some social media and behind the scenes at our schools on our Facebook page, and it works really well. But the key to picture day is trying to work smarter, not harder. And we'll share with you some of the pitfalls that we've run into, like, hey, why didn't we do that? We should do this instead of this. Why didn't we do this years ago? So there I am pulling in a cart, and we basically have most of our schools, it's Lori and I photographing. There's 2 of us. We have nobody else at the school with us.
We have 2 schools that we have a third photographer come in.
We have a friend of ours who comes up and photographs a couple schools for us where we have to have 3 stations. And Lori and I can photograph an elementary school of between 500 to 600 students, and we've gotten them done in about an hour and a half. Under 2 hours is our goal. Mm-hmm. And that's not rushing. That's just the way that's how efficient our system works. Yes. So we have 1 cart per station. Those are the rock and roller carts. We get them from B&H. They're wonderful carts. They fold up flat. And we always have, and in the truck is a complete set of lights. And if we have 2 stations, we have 2 laptops, but there's a 3rd laptop in the truck ready to go in case computer malfunction. We can set that computer aside and grab a 3rd computer that Kim sets up all 3. Every school has, we have all 3 laptops ready to go in case of a problem, because you've got to be ready to go, get them done, and get out before lunch. And that's what the principals want. Well,
and also the equipment we use is only used for schools in sports. So it is set up for that. We do not use that with any of our portrait work.
Yeah, we've been using the same lights. We've got these old lights that are just wonderful, and I love them. And I know, and what I also want to tell you that this is what we use. This is what works for us. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean necessarily you should go out and mimic exactly what we're doing, because now there's a lot of new technology that is great. We're still using what we have because it works, and it's one of those, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Now they've got the new constant light setups that are really nice with the hot lights in the Panasonic Lumix cameras that have the Opticon Bluetooth scanners that work with that. We use a tethered workflow with laptops and older cameras because that's what we've been doing, and it works out great. So this is a quick little diagram. We use a 3-light setup, a main, a fill, and a hair light. We have to tip our hair light up a little bit because the power pack is 800 watt seconds, and I really can't control besides moving the light stand in or out. That's how old they are, but gosh, they're like rock solid. And we like a little bit stronger ratio on our lighting. Just real quick, we use about a 3-to-1 ratio, where some of the school pictures we see in our area are really flatly lit, they look like flash on camera. We make ours look more like portraits from our studio, our camera room, and people love that. So that this is what we've been doing. It has not changed since day one.
Yes, and one of the things, if you are new to school photography, I would do a setup, whether it's in your camera room or but do a setup and send it to ACI. Let them see what your lighting looks like and make sure you have everything locked down with ACI before you go into that first job. And then also, you can't see it on the screen, but we do use a foot pad. So the kids know exactly where to put their feet, and especially with the littles, it's like, can you put your feet on the feet? And it's fun. And then the adults are like, oh, I don't think I can stand here because my feet are too big. It's so.
Pretend you're a kindergartner today.
Yes, pretend you're a kindergartner. So ACI does sell foot pads also, and those are extremely helpful.
Yep, and we use our green screen comes from Denny Manufacturing. A lot of you probably know their backgrounds. It's a vinyl, so there's no wrinkles.
Yes.
It's 6 foot by 8 foot, so it can even fit in a car diagonally for those who don't have a truck. We leave our backgrounds in for the entire school season. But those Denny vinyl green screens, we have found we don't even have to have a background light on it. It's not reflective, it's not shiny. Phenomenal backgrounds. That's what we use. And if you have more questions about that, like I said, this is what we use. If we were starting fresh day one right now doing schools, we would probably use those Panasonic Lumix cameras. We saw them out at SPAC. What a phenomenal system. And we would use the barcodings, the Opticons, and not tether to laptops, because that new system is hands down phenomenal. But we don't need to, our system works. So that's what we're doing.
In our photography, our school photography is consistent every year. We go to grad parties, and they are all consistent. They are not all over the board. The lighting looks the same, ratios, everything. So, and do what you need. And
keep going about our equipment and setup. The first year we did 2 poses because we were replacing a big corporate company that does the multiple poses. Mm-hmm. What a pain in the butt that was. The next year we're like, hey, we had like less than 1% choose the 3/4 length pose. How about we just do a headshot pose? Because that's what everybody wants. They're like, okay, fine. So we only do a headshot pose, and that's it. We always also bring a little step stool for Lori because she's 5 feet tall. Because when you photograph older kids, you don't want to be shooting up their noses. But we found having people stand, because when you sit, you slouch. So we just go with standing pose. It just keeps things going. You're not constantly telling someone to stand up straight or sit up straight.
Adam and Lori, we have a question.
Yep.
Yes.
Brian is asking, how long do you give parents to order for your batch orders? What's the hard cutoff before switching to individual orders? I think in their sports, they're 6 to 8 weeks long. Some of their programs are, depending on, when they let them photograph, and it just kind of gets tough for them.
Sports is different.
Some parents say nearly a month after the season that they struggle to contact. It just becomes messy after a while. What do you guys do with that?
Usually for sports, it depends on the sport when it's done. I'll usually find out when their final date is and give it so that we can deliver them at least a week, maybe a week and a half before. With schools, it's usually 2 to 3 weeks. And then we have like 2 bulk order deadlines for schools. So one I kind of put in the middle, and then the other one is usually 2 to 3 weeks after like their makeup day, to kind of give them a little extra time. And that's the date we put on our flyer, so they know the absolute deadline to order for bulk order deadlines.
So on your first batch date, Kim, when you're putting the first batch of images out there, what's your first batch date typically? How long do you give them, did you say?
Usually about 2.5 weeks. It kind of depends when their makeup day is. I kind of try and figure out like the middle ground, so that those people that order that first, week, they're not waiting 2 months to get photos back.
Right.
And then it's the next that just waits until the next.
Yeah. And then like with ACIs, with order picks, it rolls in. So if you have your first date like August 1st, then August 2nd, anybody who orders those roll into the next batch deadline.
Right. And everybody gets the good price. Yeah, everybody gets the good price until they roll out in the individual order mode.
Correct.
So that would be usually by mid-November, depending on when their makeup day, end of October, mid-November, everybody's on that individual shipment through ACI.
Yeah, we try to make sure everything's delivered before Thanksgiving.
Got it. And somebody else asked about the kids standing versus stools. Talk about that a little bit. You kind of touched on that. And what type of tripod you're using. Somebody's asking that.
I've got this old Bogan that I've had since I was 20, so it's like 30 some years old, and we have just a couple different tripods to get them up. So I'm 6 foot tall, so my camera is usually right up at me, and that's why Lori stands up on a little stool to get it up a little bit higher. Obviously, when you're at elementary school, preschools, we drop down a little bit.
I no longer need a stool.
But we just find that having them stand on footprints works the best, instead of having them sit up on a stool, especially little ones. And
if they're standing, their feet aren't kicking, and you can say, "Oh, stand tall."
Yeah.
But if you tell them to sit tall, and then the next thing you know, they're moving around and wiggling, it just seems to work better.
And if you have a swivel stool, even you get a high schooler that wants to be silly. They sit on, what's the first thing they do when they sit on a swivel stool? They want to spin around.
I do it. Well, he does it.
So it just, and you want to be efficient. So it's like, okay, let's eliminate stools.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we use, because we're using old DSLR cameras, we're not using mirrorless, is we have in-camera masking from viewfindermask.com. These were a couple $100 a piece, well worth it, because you don't have to guess where the top of the head, bottom of the chin. So Lori and I get everything nailed in camera, tethered to the laptop, so that we don't have to go back and recrop anything. We hand the laptop to Kim, and then those images are right into production. Mm-hmm. If there's glass glare, we do take them out, run them through Evoto to fix the glass glare, because it's a one-click copy and paste, and you're done with glass glare. That's phenomenal software. But that's all we do now. We don't go in and recrop to get everybody's head size. We're doing it in camera. So it's just one of those work smarter, not harder. Now with the new mirrorless cameras, now you can, they come preloaded, a lot of them, with the camera mask. So you're looking on the back of the camera on the LCD screen. So that's phenomenal that the mirrorless has that. We just got like 4 or 5 old cameras that just continue working. So that's why we're doing it. So when we first started, we used to have like 8 to 10 people at our big school, 8 to 10 on staff opening.
We're a family of 6.
Yeah.
And we had our kids working all the way down to elementary school. And then our staff and some other people from our photographer association. It was wild how many people we needed. We
had people handing out camera cards, collecting order forms, going through checks, cash, separating all that at the school. It was like, this is, it was crazy. Now we're down to Lori and I go, and we have someone else, and that's it. And the way we do it now with no prepay, no order forms, we don't have to worry about having a bunch of staff.
And we do rely on, for elementary schools, school staff, we ask each school to have somebody at each station to fix hair and adjust clothing. So we stay behind the camera. The last thing we want to do is have one of us go in and touch a child and have them go home and say that we did that. So the person that's helping, whether it's the teacher or a staff member, is already accustomed to those kids. The kids know them. They feel comfortable. So that is something I would highly recommend.
Lori and Adam, we have a couple questions. So I'm going to kind of go through these. Glass glare, it's handled where? And do you try to eliminate the glare by subject, light, or camera positioning?
We try to eliminate it as best we can, but now with Evoto, we will just take out all the images that need to be fixed with glass glare, take them out of Flow. I'll batch them in Evoto and put them right back into Flow. And if you have not seen Evoto in action, you need to go download the free version. You buy credits. You can do retouching in glass glare for as little as 6 cents an image. They've been at all the trade shows. It is revolution, because we used to take a second photo with their glasses off if they had really bad glare or the refraction, right? So then I'd have to go in and Photoshop and fix all that, because we fix it, because it was fixed. That's just what we do. We fix that glass glare because, they're not going to pay to fix it. They expect that to be fixed. So we just do it. But the Evoto it's phenomenal what it does. We do not do any retouching unless they pay for it. We do charge extra for retouching.
And you do that, the glass glare, before you upload the images into order picks for them to view. So it's done kind of download out of Flow, do the export, and do it then. Also, somebody's asking about your hair light. It looks like it's angled toward the ceiling. They're asking.
So I'm just using the edge of it, because if I point it down, it's a little bit strong. because of and that's just because of the power pack that we're using. You know, it doesn't have the built-in ratio thing, so that they're old photogenic Photomaster power packs, and that's just what I have found. It works really good. It just gives the edge of the light is skimming across the top of their head and the edge of their hair. So that's the results we get, like we showed earlier. Get a little bit of separation. You got to have a little bit of separation.
And one more question. With your sports, do you typically deliver those packages to the league, to the coaches, let them hand them out, or do you
Yes.
mail those?
No.
Okay. All
They
right.
go to the league.
And we're going to talk about sports at the end of the program. We kind of broke it
Yes.
down, schools and then sports. So we'll keep things rolling here.
And I'll go quick over social media. So I think social media is really important. And I think behind the scenes is super important. We can send out photos of, like us or, a child, but, with Adam with a hoop on his head, or I don't know why we're
is that one
upside down, but, hey, if you look like this. And also you'll see on one of the photos here up in the upper left corner, there is a donut that I had. So I not only tag the school, and make sure you do the @ sign, tag the school, make sure it's blue. Also do your location that you're at the school. So that's a double tag. And then I tagged the business, which was a bakery, and then they shared it. So we're touching a lot of people that way, and they're seeing our behind the scenes. So use that. The teachers get involved. They like to be behind the scenes.
The guinea pig, the class guinea pig.
Photographing a guinea pig. How fun is that? Me standing on a stool. Be fun. So don't always do serious things. Also do some fun things.
Yeah,
So,
like this one over here on the right. I pretended like the first day of school pictures, right? And I had the sign I'm holding was like day 8,256 work day or whatever. So I mean, we try to be fun with it when we're all going off to schools and everything.
and it may not seem important because it's volume, right? But that's driving them to your Facebook page for them to see your portrait work also. And that will produce leads. Make sure you're on multiple platforms. And we're not always the best at doing it. We've kind of slacked off on TikTok. I got to get back into that, but do as much as you can. So social media, being consistent with posting content, you can see the reach, likes, shares, make it fun, and have a hashtag. Our hashtag is love what you do, because we do love what we do. And when we're posting fun photos, they can see that we have fun when we're there.
And that's really important because, and we'll drive that home a little bit later about being local. It's not just school pictures. Okay. This is a very important job that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And we put as much effort and expertise into a school picture that we do in a portrait session in our studio or at the beach with a family, because you just don't know. That could be that student's last picture. And that happens every year. When you photograph thousands and thousands of students, unfortunately, we do make funeral photos, and it's terrible and it's gut-wrenching. So we put that much effort into it. It's not whatever. It's just a school picture. No, this is really, really important doing what we do.
Yes.
So we'll share with you. So it's funny, when we first started, upper left corner, we had all the backgrounds against the wall, and the kids were lined up behind us. Well, guess what? You got a bunch of middle school kids, boys especially, that want to make fun of their buddies getting getting photographed. And it's like, what are we doing here? So we turned everything around. So our backs are against the wall, the backgrounds are out, and they're lined up behind the background. So now you have nobody behind you making wisecracks at their buddies. Yes. So those are the things we learned, early on. And going contactless, paperless, barcode books versus camera cards, no more instant IDs. It's all about efficiency, traffic flow, analyzing your space, what you have to work with. So in the lower right is an elementary school. Our backs are against the stage in the gym, and the kids are lined up going behind the backgrounds. So the next kid walks up to the footprints. The teacher tells us their name, scan them. They're in alphabetical order as the teacher brings them down from their classroom. We're going in alphabetical order in the book. It's boom, boom, boom. they take their picture, they go around the other side, go sit in the bleachers and wait for their class to get done. So we're keeping those elementary schools going relatively quickly, but not cutting corners.
And I know you can see the tables. When we go to a school, we are 100% self-sufficient, with the exception of we have to plug our extension cord into the wall.
Yep.
We
bring
do
all
not need anything from the school. We are totally self-sufficient.
So those are one things that we've learned. So obviously when we get done, we come back to the studio and here we go, Kim. Here's the laptops. We're going to breakfast.
Kim
so
loves it.
just kidding. We do go to breakfast once in a while.
Adam likes breakfast.
Yes. So project management is big, but we get them online within a couple days. Once we get the glass flare done, knockouts done, they're online. So we tell them within a week. Do the whole under promise, over deliver.
Mm-hmm. So I know order picks, we have a note here about workflow that order picks users can go directly from order picks and skip flow using image matching tools. So we're just telling you what we do and how we do it, but there are other ways, and Steve is fabulous about making sure he can help you pick out what way is best for you. So again, this is how we do it. It's not necessarily how you have to do it.
Because we tether the laptops, we have to use Flow because that's the tethering software.
Yes.
So when we take a kid's picture, it goes right into their subject record, auto assign, auto crop. It's in there. So it just speeds things up that way. But you can go right into order picks with the taggings of the Opticon scanner system. If we were starting from day one, so like I said earlier, we would definitely do that. That's great system.
In one of the, I don't know if we touched on, but we use the green screen so they can pick out different backgrounds. Where in years past, let's just say the mom picked out a purple background because her kid likes purple, but the child wore purple and blends in. Now they can see that child on the different backgrounds and pick which one looks best with their kiddo. But the one that goes to school for yearbook is one for everybody. It doesn't matter what the parents order. There's the standard gray.
Standard gray. So we can use a default background for admin files that go for the yearbook, and
which is the same as used on the IDs, correct?
Yep.
Which is the same as used on the IDs.
Yeah. So here we are. That's a picture of delivering yearbooks. Loading up the truck, delivering photos, which we make our rounds around our county.
And we do a yearbook sale separate from school picture sales, and we do that in the spring, and it keeps it separate, and we're not trying to figure out, we don't have 100 phone calls a day from people saying, I don't remember, did I order my yearbook back in September? So all of that is done as a second, and it is done through ACI.
And it gives you a database. You can actually share that database. You can download who ordered a yearbook and give that to the secretary at the school so they know exactly who ordered one so that they have record of it. So it really works out well to collect. So there's no more cash or check for sure with yearbooks because we always would get those calls. I gave Johnny $10 this morning in his book bag. Oh, really? Well, that's blowing at 7-Eleven now. So, so it just works out better to all credit cards. So then we have record of that.
And then Kim will print labels and put them on each yearbook. And that yearbook will have the child's name, their teacher, and then she rubber bands them by teacher. So when they get to the school, the secretary only has to hand out to the teacher. Now the teacher only has those kiddos, and we know if there's no label, it went to the school.
And at Makeup Day, Lori and I both go for our public school for elementary schools. Mm-hmm. I'll set up a photo station. She'll go around to the rooms and take pictures of candidates that we can use in the yearbook. But we do encourage teachers to submit their own candidates throughout the whole school year.
No. They have to be turned in by
fall. So if they go on a field trip or they have a special day, a spirit day or whatever, and we tell them, cell phone pictures are fine because we're making them, a small candid in a yearbook. And it's more personalized instead of us photographing them sitting at their desk on makeup day going around. Some teachers are really good about participating. Others are like, I'm not doing that.
So it's our safe thing. Our safety is to go around to all the classrooms and do some photos. But as you can see, the one in the middle is a safe one. the one in the upper right was a fun one that the teacher submitted. They all have to be submitted before Christmas break, before that holiday break, because Kim starts working on yearbooks in January. And then over on the left, you can see, one of the teachers has put for 4 years their door sign.
So how do you compete with the big companies, right, that come in and offer all these bells and whistles and service items to the staff and the principals and everything? We drive home that we are a local studio, and believe it or not, your school districts and your schools, they want to work with a local company. They would rather support local and give their parents peace of mind knowing that they're supporting local and that their dollars are staying in the local economy. So we drive that point home, and it sometimes handles objections on, well, can you do this? Well, we might not be able to because we're not a mega $1 million company like some of the other companies are. So we drive that home a lot. It gives us a competitive advantage for sure. And we've had it where a student misses day one and makeup day, or they transfer in at Christmas break. We've allowed them to set up an appointment, come to our studio, and take their school picture, and they can still make it in the yearbook. And we've had parents just elated because they assumed right away that my kid's not going to be in the yearbook because we moved here late, after makeup day. So we let them do that because that's one thing that we have to do. We have to drive home that we're a local competitive studio like that. And we also do a homeschool special and we do really well with that. We do one day, parents bring their kids in that are homeschooled because they still need school pictures too.
Right. And they do love that. So the one picture, the second from the left, that is a homeschool family, and they come every year, and they will post that they came in for homeschool pictures. And once that started rolling, it's a nice thing. And again, anybody who missed can also come in on homeschool day. We don't say if you're a public or parochial that we photograph that you can't come in. So that's fun. And then we do go to therapy centers. So we have some autism centers. There's a couple of them in the area, and we go to them, and we do take extra time. And the parents are so happy. The staff is cheering. They're looking at the photos. They're so excited because we take the extra time with those kiddos that they need. It may take us 20 minutes for one kid, and the next kid could take 2 minutes. But we spend that time with them, and it's a great way to give back to the community.
And we do those in November, not prime time. September, October are your prime time for your bigger schools. So we do the therapy centers more, closer to November, which they can still get photos by Christmas, but that fills in those times in November. I think we already talked about that as far as our yearbooks.
That's all, Kim. Is there anything you want to add about yearbooks?
Not really. Since it's with Flow, we just upload everything into a program and then we can create our own.
And schools have to approve in writing.
In writing.
Yes, I made up a form and I sent it to the schools, or I attach it to approve for them, and they have to fill it out and they have to sign it. And then we don't do anything without that approval.
And one thing you need to really find out with your schools, ask right up front, is there any student that is a do not photograph? Because there are situations with custody issues where a child cannot be in the yearbook, and they're usually aware of that, and they will let you know that. But sometimes being proactive and asking the staff, hey, do you have any students that we can put on a list to make sure that they do not get put into a yearbook, because that can happen, and you don't want that phone call from a parent threatening you that my kid is in this yearbook and should not be. So something to be cognizant about for sure.
Yes, same when you're doing the yearbook candidates. Make sure you know.
So prepay versus proofing. We used to do proofing. We used to make the little proof inserts right here in the center that gave them their ticket code, access code, and all that. We did away with all of that. So now we don't take any, even online prepay, none of it. We do all proofing after picture day.
And that's what works for us. There are still people who do envelopes, and there are still people who do prepay even though they're online. But we like that a lot better. We feel like it gives the parents more control. There's some things that Kim loves about it because the parents are inputting everything. We're not trying to read their penmanship or lack thereof on an envelope.
Yep. They do all of our data entry for us. Mm-hmm. We only print what's purchased. So we've had people do retakes, and then they bring, like, parents are like, well, I bought pictures and I want retakes. Well, why did you buy the first set? And they're like,
And even the schools will say that. They'll support us on that.
yeah. So anyway, and we did a statistic. We looked, and 70% of our orders are done from a phone or a mobile device out of all of our online. So you got to have a good presence on the phones.
Yes,
for sure.
make sure that how you set it up looks good on the phone also.
We do a lot with our schools.
So yeah, our school relationships are super important. We have co-op students that we hire. We make sure that, you know, you can see over on the left all of the banners, and then we support the sports when they come to us. And I also go into schools and do things like Mad City Money, and I do mock job interviews. So I will go in there. Adam will go in and do classes for the yearbook students with their cameras, better, you know, helping them better understand their cameras. We have sold equipment to the schools at a discounted rate for the purpose of yearbook class, but we, you know, it's not always about money. Time and talent and sharing that with those students is huge, and the schools remember that. And then the big guys don't do that.
We also get really involved in our community and our chamber, and we just do a lot. We just do a lot in our community and giving back, so that people are like, oh yeah, you know, we've had people at chamber meetings like I think I've read a check, or I have a credit card payment to Harbour Light every month between school pictures, rec pictures, team pictures, dance pictures, and you smile and you thank them for their business, and we appreciate your support. But yeah, that's, you know, that's what we've tried to do, is solidify our status in the community, you know, as a leading studio and leading photographer. You know, we're big on the resources, and resource number one, obviously, is ACI. I mean, their partnership is phenomenal. I mean, versus any other lab, they have people that, I mean, they help you there. They want to help you. You're not just an account number there. You're a person, and you're a human, and they want to help you, and that's what's so great about it. We've also been a longtime member of our state PPA affiliate, Professional Photographers of Michigan. You might be thinking, you might be sitting back going, okay, I've got schools. Maybe you have a school reaching out to you. Hey, we want you to photograph our school. And you're thinking, I don't have the staffing to do this. How can I do this? Well, once we said earlier, you'll figure it out. Take the job. We have friends of ours that will contract out, or we'll help each other out if we're not in competitive areas. That's the great thing about being a member of affiliate, sometimes PPA or your state affiliate, is that you can lean on a friend of yours, you know, and pay them what they need to be paid, but you need help at the job, at the school on picture day. All of the production work, you handle that after, but that's what's great about.
And we've had people come and shadow us at a school. You contact the school, make sure that's okay. We've went down and helped people set things up to get started. So rely on each other.
And as I mentioned before, our partnership with ACI, customer service, outstanding, quality products, order picks, phenomenal. And guess there's no commissions, no monthly fees. And there's Mr. Steve Wack, who we've known forever. And he's there sitting with Kim. He came up and got us all started and helped us out and helps us out continually. We meet
at least once a year as just a, hey, this is what's new. Or they come to us. Hey, what have you run into over the school season? What's working, what's not working. And they listen.
They listen. So it's huge that they will come to you in your place of business and help you get all of this stuff set up. It's not just webinars or Zoom meetings. They have people.
Adam and Lori, you want to say all that nice stuff about me again? I had the volume turned down. I don't think anybody heard that.
Oh, I don't know. Steve Brown is saying Steve is awesome. Barbara's Stevie Wonder.
Hey,
I like that Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Hey, we just had a question come up, and it's probably the toughest question to answer of the day. But here's the question: with the big hairstyles, like the high bun on the top of the heads, how do you handle that with the cropping mask? Tough question.
You keep it in, so there it makes sometimes it. I mean, if they have really tall hair or those JoJo bows that were popular for a while on the elementary girls, you have to, because you're shooting, a 2:3 ratio, and you're cropping everything pretty much to an 8:10, right? I mean, everything's going to an 8:10. So you've got to keep that cropping mask picture that we had on their screen earlier. Whatever is the top of their head, whether it's the bow, their hair, whatever, that stays to the top of the head on the cropping mask, which sometimes, yes, if you look at the yearbook page, that kid's face might appear smaller, but it's because of what's on their head.
Yeah, because you can't cut it off.
So
You don't want to cut it off.
the space above their bun to the top of the image is the same as a regular student. You just do it
Top
that
of the
way.
head. Yeah, because that we
Perfect.
consider that the top of their head.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. So Lori talked about this. We had people come and shadow us. We went and shadowed them at their place. Okay. And here's a great one. What our school, like we talked about before, these aren't just school pictures. These are really important. So I think this is both of our kindergarten pictures. We were cute kids, weren't we? So real quick on sports, we broke it down into 3 rec league sports, travel sports, and school sports, like middle school, high schools, where you're going 3 times a year. So we'll touch first on rec league sports. We do a lot of rec league sports. What do we mean by that? It's like our rec soccer program. It's not travel. It's like 700-800 kids, 80 teams, photograph it one day on a Saturday. Everybody gets photographed that day. Rain or shine, 20 degrees, 80 degrees, doesn't matter. Get it done. So we've really adapted and learned over the years on our big. So for example, these pictures left to right, we started under their pavilion. Well, you can see the kids are wearing mittens and gloves and earmuffs. It was cold. It was windy. Backgrounds blown over.
I was freezing.
Lori was freezing, couldn't feel her hands. Okay, this is crazy. We can't do this. So then we rented a tent. We did our own tents one season. They were blowing over because the wind is so bad. So we're like, okay, those tents aren't working. We kept the tents, but then we rented from a tent company that sets up for grad parties. Yes, it's an expense every season, but it was phenomenal. We were doing green screen for our rec soccer league because they don't have any fields that we can use. So we were dropping in a picture of their field and their net in green screen. And we were doing composited teams. So we were photographing all 800 kids, sending them out to have team composites done. Do we like that way? Not really. It does look Photoshop. There's more room for error, having this kid's in the wrong team, so on and so forth. And it takes time. And they have a 6-week season, literally, like 6 weeks. So we switched the photo on the right. We switched to printed backdrops from ACI Background Town. So we just had the digital file that we used in Flow. We sent them to ACI and they printed on the whatever that cloth is. And now we drop those in. We photograph them on background. We do a team background and we do individuals.
It's faster. It's more efficient.
Right here.
Yes. So we'll have when we're doing the situation like that, Adam will photograph. He can bop back and forth between the team and individuals, and then we have somebody else photographing individuals. So I am keeping everything going and flowing, and the kids will go sit down to get ready for their team. I'm making sure that by height, and I'm getting that ready. So Adam steps over, takes that while I'm getting the next team ready. So we have a great flow, but having somebody there,
a wrangler,
yes. And I will exercise with the kids. I will play games with the kids. I'll do whatever I need to do to keep them happy, entertained, and I also keep the parents at bay.
Yes, that's the most important thing. Keeping parents out of the tent.
And I'll do behind the scenes with the kids. We might do little videos or challenges. So it's fun.
But that allows us to photograph 700 to 800 kids, 80 teams from 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon on a Saturday and have them online Monday, Tuesday, because Tuesday, so that we make sure that everything is good to go. And it's rec league. Yes, they don't get the fancy green screen backgrounds, but this is recreational sports. So we do that stuff with the travel sports.
Those photograph very well. By the way, that is the Ultra Cloth. I think the background that you use, the material that doesn't wrinkle. Got a few questions.
Yep.
Do you sell digital images in your school pictures?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In packages or both? Out of a la carte
both.
And with packages? Both. Okay.
Yep.
And
you can add it on or buy a standalone.
Great. Somebody says, how do you account for language barriers for ordering when you have a high percentage of other language speaking people in your community? I don't know that you have that, but I know some of our guests do, and they're wondering about that.
We don't have that, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for us, I guess.
We have had a translator.
Yeah, we had. So there's a couple people there's a translator that will help them. And we actually have a lady who is deaf, and when she calls, there is a person who calls me first. We'll see the lady asking the questions through sign language. She'll relay the question to me, and then she signs it back to the person. So we just work with them.
As far as and moving on here to travel sports, I mean, we do some in our studio, and sometimes we'll go to their hitting warehouse or whatever, maybe where they go batting practice in the winter. We try to do a lot of our travel sports in like February, like in the winter time, late winter, early spring, before we really, because that's when those teams are formulating for a lot of sports, whether it's volleyball, baseball, softball. And we buy a lot of our PSD background files from Game Changers. Ben Shirk, his backgrounds are phenomenal. We've got quite a collection of those. And we do a lot with that. We do a lot of team banners, with the sponsors. They take those to tournaments and the games. And like I said, we do those either in our studio, we give them like an hour worth of time, and then, or we'll go on location if they have a place that we can actually go to.
And they do have to, in order to receive the team banner for free, they do have to meet a minimum order requirement, because people were just coming here just for the free banner, and then the parents weren't ordering. So we did make that change. So make sure that you are
not working for free.
Not working for free. Yes.
Charge accordingly. And we're not going to get into all the pricing in that. That would be a more in-depth program.
And Kurt, I see Kurt asked if the parents have to go to our website or are they notified by email. Both for schools and sports, we get the email addresses. That's part of what Kim does at pre. And so there is emails that go out to the parents. So
the email marketing campaigns.
Yes, the email marketing campaigns. So they can do that. Now we also, if parents call, maybe they didn't say, we have people that work at a big corporation, use that email and it was filtered out. They can call us. We'll walk them through how to do it. But with schools, we do not give out any information. They have to call the school. So for example, the code that they use is directly tied to information on that child. We will not give that because of privacy laws. We do not know who that person is. It could be a grandmother that they don't want to have involved. It could be custody issues. We will not give out that information. The school has to do it.
Another quick question. Do you use the same background for each team?
No.
Not for travel. We mix it up. We like for travel sports, I've got a slew of backgrounds and we'll see what we use the last couple of years and then we'll change it up. But for rec sports, we are using the same backgrounds, like our YMCA. So our local YMCA has quite the youth sports program. They have volleyball, flag football, and basketball. And we have all of their courts photographed in fields.
Which is what we use the background town.
Yep. So that's just been the same since day one. And it just works for us. That's what we do. I know some people say, well, do green screen and offer fancy backgrounds. You might have higher sales. Yes, but we don't have that kind of time. We got to get these things online, give them a chance to order, process the orders, and deliver them before their very short season is over. Because if you don't get them delivered before season's over, you've got a mess on your hands with all these pictures at your business.
And the nice thing about like ACI, so when Kim sends in school photos, she'll send in and it will come back based on what she puts in. So it will come back by school, by teacher, by grade. So we can do those things. So you're not getting A to Z, all of these kids, and now you have to go sort it out. Based on what you type in, it will sort. They'll come sorted for you.
Right. So the orders come back sorted based on your data, grade, teacher, alpha, whatever you have to work with.
Yes, correct.
So a couple of questions. So when you're doing email marketing, and this is a very good question, parents that say they don't get the email, usually it's in the spam folder, but that's always a challenge with all of that. How do you handle that? And kind of talk about that a little bit. That's a good question.
So
I walk them through on our website. So they go to our website, and then we have a drop down. This is schools or sports. They select schools. And then there's also through order picks, it'll take you to a drop down window, which gives you their school. I usually do like the school name, fall 2025. So they would select that. And then they need a password. That's the password that we don't give out. So if it's a student ID number, we tell them they have to ask their student or they have to call the school. So once they get that information, then they type in their email, and then it takes them to their school pictures. But if they don't receive the email, we also have that information on the flyers that we send out.
Right. So Kim, what prompts that is you probably get a phone call, maybe say, hey, I didn't get an email.
Yes.
And then you walk them through that.
Yeah, I walk them through our website. That also gives them, they can see our other photos and stuff, our portrait side. That's why we don't email them a link. Sometimes I do have to email them information, which also I direct them the exact same way. Right. Sometimes it's a little easier because then they can just copy and paste.
Right. And another question, what size backdrops are you using for teams?
12. The ACI 12 by 8, 12 foot wide, 8 foot tall is what I ordered for our soccer league and volleyball, basketball, flag football. And that works out. And that's the same ratio as a digital file, which is phenomenal. And I've had teams of 15, 16 soccer kids. I'll use little risers to get a third row. And there might be times I have to fill in the background a little bit, but that generative AI in Photoshop does amazing things. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
But at soccer, we have the individual. What size is it?
Oh, the individual ones for soccer is 6 by 8.
But now for volleyball, we don't use 2.
Yeah, we do volleyball. For our rec leagues basketball, let me go back to that one. So, for example, this photo in the left side, that's our basketball background from the YMCA. You can see the YMCA logo on the gym mats. The hoop is right in the center. So you'll see that metal platform that we got from Harbor Freight. So that's their footprints. So we didn't have to order a second individual background for our basketball league. We just have them, if they're short, K through third grade, we'll have them hop up on that stool, and it places that basketball hoop directly in their upper corner, right off of their shoulder. It's perfect. And then the team white bench is from in our area we have Menards, but any of your home improvement, even Walmart, you can get those lifetime resin benches. And we show the bench. No one's ever said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you show this bench." No one's complained. It looks good. It looks great. Right. We're happy with that. So it gets you the ability to do rows, and then we've got some other posing blocks if we've got to get kids in the back row up a little bit higher. We crop all of our teams and those rec league sports. We crop them at the knees, so that those 5x7 teams and the memory mates, their faces are larger. We don't do full length team photos because you got little kids and they want to see their faces. So that's how we crop our team photos with those backgrounds. But the volleyball, I photographed the volleyball net stanchion, the pole, and I made a separate background like this girl right here. Then we have a team background because we only need one station or one photographer, team background individual for volleyball. Same thing for flag football. But their basketball league at our YMCA is two Saturdays, 2 locations. They have to rent one of the schools to get gym space because they have 80 teams. So moving on, we talked about travel. We also do school sports for a lot of our schools. I mean, that's middle school, high school. And we do, this is how we got started really in volume. And yes, do we do on field or green screen? The answer is yes, we do both. Some schools, they want traditional on their field of play or their court of play, and some want all green screen, composite the teams, we do, so on and so forth. And that's fine. We can do all of that. Some people still want senior banners in addition to traditional photos. So
just make sure you know these things up front so you know if you need to bring a green screen or not. And we also have a school that highlights all their 8th grade athletes. So,
right here.
Yep, we print that up for them.
And the Booster Club pays for those. They're 12-inch by 24-inch banners, and Kim actually makes those in Flow so that the player's name is populated as a data field from the data file. Then she can export those banners and we can get all those banners printed. And all those 8th grade athletes get a free banner. The Booster Club's paying for it. We bill the Booster Club directly. We're getting guaranteed sale on every 8th grade athlete from that school 3 times a year. So, and they put them up in the hallway, which is phenomenal. So that's what's great about school sports. This upper photo here is our big school across the street from our studio. That's winter season. You've got all basketball, competitive cheer, wrestling. All of those individual banners are up on the wall. So we're owning theirs, and we sponsor, obviously. This upper left one is their Hall of Fame. So if a team wins the championship or, like the league championship or makes the playoffs, I have a template that I drag in the team photo. They put the names. Those are just standard prints behind plexiglass. But if you give them a reason, if you give them a specialized product like that, they don't want to go anywhere else because they want things to be consistent and remain the same. So if you can create that demand through something like that, then they don't give them a reason to go anywhere else.
Quick question.
Yep.
Hey, what's the threshold for sales for your banner program? In other words, how much in sales before they get a free banner?
So we've been trying to work on approximately 2/3 of the team needs to place an order is what we're kind of looking at. So it depends on the size of the team, will depend on how much I tell them.
But as far as a dollar amount, didn't we have a dollar amount? It depends. It depends.
It did depend because to tell a small team
Of like 12 to 15.
right compared to a larger team, yeah. So we do about 2/3.
And we've had travel leagues where like we had a travel baseball program that they had like 10 to 12 teams from 8U to 15U, and we did all of them. So okay, so some teams might, when you look at it like that, some teams might have a higher average than, they might have spent more on 10U. So we looked at that as a whole, like, okay, you've reached a threshold where every team's going to get their 4x6. We usually make 4x6 banners. Mm-hmm. But when we just get a straggler team here and there, then we have to kind of curl that back because, yeah, I mean, you don't want to be printing some banner and you had very little orders. So
yeah, and if it's a little team of like 5 or 6, we still have to cover that cost of the banner.
Right.
So then we'll look at that. We look at each one different.
And you talk about that up front. I may have missed that if you said that, but you talk about that up front and say, hey, if we get 2/3, we'll throw in okay.
And
great.
that is something that's newer for us because before we were just starting to hand out banners to everybody, and we just took a look at that. Each year you look at where you're spending your money and look at your programs, and then you tweak it. So that was a tweak we just recently made.
Thank you.
I don't think this one works. This is
I don't think so.
This is a TikTok video. You should look this guy up. It's hilarious. Because this is a PDF file now. So yeah, you won't be able to see that.
But
that's it. We went 10 minutes over. Sorry.
Not bad.
One more quick question is, do you guys find it hard to get a list from the school or the coaches or a league and email addresses? Do you find it difficult with that for sports?
Kim and I are laughing because it can be challenging. We have had friends of our other photographer friends that have actually on picture day said they will not photograph because they didn't receive the information. We don't do that, but we are I'm not scared to make phone calls, and I can be very persistent. So if I'm not getting the information, if Kim's not seeing the information a few weeks before minimum, then we're going to start sending you emails, and then we will resort to quite a few phone calls with me saying we quite possibly may need to cancel this and reschedule. So we will reschedule once we receive the information. We also have to remind people, taking a photo and sending us a PDF of your list does not constitute what we need. So it has got to be a spreadsheet, and Kim goes so far as to
they print off the spreadsheet and then send me a picture of it. And I'm like, yeah, this is gonna work.
Yeah. So Kim actually will send them an example. So it's
make it easy for them.
I make up an Excel sheet and I email them that. I'm like, this is the information I need. Fill it in, and that usually works.
Yes.
Yeah, I find also in order picks, I'll mention this, we have the marketing slips. So if they don't give you emails, you can actually print out these marketing slips that have the image of the subject. It's involved in our premium email marketing, but it prints it out, images on it, the link, their password, the whole thing, QR code where they can get in, hand those out to the coaches and, annoy them a little bit more that they got to hand those out because they didn't give you email addresses. And then those go home with the kids and mom can order that way. So
if they make it home.
Make it home.
And we do tell schools, like, because I know some parents are like, we don't want we want to get bombarded with a bunch of spam marketing emails. Yes, the email marketing campaign through ACI works great. They do get reminders if they haven't ordered, but once they order from that email, then they no longer get reminders to order. But we don't use those. Yes, we have access to thousands of emails. We could email them about our studio and our portrait business, but we don't. We just don't feel that would be, because we would then go back on what we would tell the schools is we're not going to bombard your parents with a bunch of other emails, because we've heard other school picture companies that have other companies that sell albums and other things that blow up people's emails with, make sure you use this code to get your free blank album from our other company. So we just tell them up front, we don't bombard your parents with a bunch of spam.
Okay.
But find us, Harbor Light Photography. You can find us on social media.
Yeah, and if you're working with Steve, obviously Steve can get a hold of us.
But remember, say yes.
Yes, figure it out. You can do it.
Yeah, always say yes, and we'll figure it out.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hang on 1 minute. I'm not going to get it.